You know, there are times when we run into a story that just doesn't fit into any one category.
Yeah, true, Shannon, but it would be a real shame if we didn't find some way to share those stories with you.
So we created this little segment for you, so we had a place to put all these little gems.
And what else could we call it other than your Jackson County Potpourri?
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out in such a beautiful afternoon to help us honor and say thank you to all of our veterans, active military and their families, and to help us dedicate and raise our POW MIA flag today and dedicate our new flagpole. So back in October, how this all started, we had a group of veterans and some POWs come into a meeting and tell us their inspiring stories, and they truly were compelling and inspiring, and asked us to raise the POW MIA flag over here in Singler Plaza at the county. And we were more than happy to oblige, but we did have a problem, if you remember. We only had one flagpole over here, and it was pretty short. And adding a third flag to the bottom was just not going to be tall enough, especially when they were at half-mast. So the commissioners talked about it and said, you know, it's time for us to redo Singler Plaza and to install the flagpoles that you see here, so we could give all of our flags, but especially the POW MIA flag, its rightful honor on a place high above its own flagpole.
Ready, ho! Preset, off!
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to recognize the 57,000 Oregon veterans who joined in a petition to raise this flag in honor of their comrades. Those who were captured as prisoner of war, those who went missing in action, their status never accounted for their loved ones. It is fitting that we're holding today's ceremony at a plaza named for Sheriff August D. Singler. Singler Plaza gets its namesake from a public servant who was known most for his concern for his fellow citizen, his pride for where he came from, and his service to others and his leadership in his community. Now, with this flag raised high above Singler Plaza, we're recognizing countless heroes who shared those same qualities. Like all warfighters, those who were in a position to be captured by the enemy in battle were there because of their sense of duty to their country. From the European Pacific theaters of World War II to the rice fields of Vietnam and remote provinces in Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, other nations, America's service members have put their lives on the line in foreign lands with one priority in mind: safety and security and freedom of the American people. Those who were held captive faced perils of torture and starvation, and in the worst case, death. But they never wavered in their bravery, their pride for where they came from, their commitment to upholding the ideals of the United States military kept them strong and steadfast when the odds were against them. So God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
Good day. I've had the honor to serve veterans for about 12 years in the House of Representatives in the state of Oregon. We've done some marvelous things, but we still haven't done enough. I would like to talk a little bit about the people that aren't here. That's the MIAs. We have over 80,000. This hit home to me after Hugh and I had passed this bill, and that's Joe Brett. Anyone know Joe Brett? You know, he's on TV. Yeah, everyone knows him. Well, Joe told me that his brother, on his first sortie into Laos, went down, and it took him 29 and a half years to find him. That's what this is about. We cannot ever forget these people. We never leave them in the field. Our job's never done until we do get 82,000 men and women back and get them buried properly. The POW part, very eloquent, Congressman. Very true. We've had some real difficulties. But always look at it like this. They can take my life. By golly, they can't take my freedom.
My story starts when the veterans came to our board meeting to talk about this proposition that put this POW flag up. And I mentioned at the meeting that my grandpa was a prisoner of war. His name was William D. Ray, and he served in World War I in France, and he was taken as prisoner of war. And like many veterans, he really never shared the experiences because I think he knows we can't handle much of that. But the one thing he did share with us was the fact he could not handle turnips. He did not like them. He detested them. That's what they fed him as a prisoner of war. They threw raw turnips in the compound where the prisoners were held. And I think the reason we knew about that because my grandma was a great gardener and grew turnips. So it came up in conversation a lot. But I just want to say, you know, the Bible says there's no greater love than this than to lay down your life for a friend. And I think the veterans live that verse. And we remember you, and we honor you, and we thank you for your service.
I would like to tell you a little about the POWMI flag. It was started by a group called the League of Families at the time of the Vietnam War. And the flag was developed for POWs and MIAs of Vietnam. Since that time, the United States Congress has recognized the POWMI flag. The importance of the flag lies in its constant reminder of the plight of American POWs and MIAs from all wars, including those now ongoing. These Americans did not come home from the field of battle, but as the motto states, they're gone, but not forgotten. Dying for freedom isn't the worst thing that can happen. Being forgotten is. Now I got some special people to introduce. The first one I'd like to introduce is not here today. His name is Walter Haynes. Just tell you a little bit about him. He was a POW in World War II. Walter was a second lieutenant. He was a dive bomber pilot, and he was shot down by a Japanese there over the island of Sumba. He was taken as prisoner by the Japanese, and he survived 3.5 years as a prisoner of war with the Japanese. Okay, then we have a special guest here too, another prisoner of war. Frank Hernandez, would you stand up, and your wife Carmen? Frank was in the U.S. Army. He was an infantryman in World War II. He was a corporal. He was captured by the Germans near the town, if I'm pronouncing this right, Mandenburg, Germany. And I thank you for what you did, the way you conducted yourself. I've heard enough that you conducted yourself as a good American soldier, even a captured one. Thanks a lot. Next gentleman I want to introduce is Cordino Langiotti and his son, Bill. Cordino was also in the U.S. Army Infantry. He was a PFC, and he got himself into quite a situation. He was on a machine gun crew, and he'd fought in several of the major battles, and he was fighting at Anzio. When it was getting dark, the Americans were around as many as the Germans. When it got light that morning, there was no other Americans but he and his gun crew. He was captured and survived being a prisoner of war. Thank you. I have some things that myself and the prisoners of war would like to give our county commissioners. Frank is going to present them with a POWMI flag, just in remembrance of today and what you did for us. you. Corey Longotti wrote a book about his World War II experiences, and he wants to give each one of the commissioners the book. But you'll find this book pretty good reading. I've been handing out POW pins for 5 years, and I wanted you each to have one. Thank you. And wear it, you know the history of it, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right.
I wanted to thank all of our distinguished guests, but very specifically the gentleman sitting to my right, Coors, Frank, and you'll notice there's a chair that's vacant there. It was purposely left there in honor of Walter Haynes, who could not be with us today. Walter, at 99, had a difficult time this morning, and I know he'll see some of this ceremony on the press, and I will just simply smile at the thought. Cordino and Hugh, please accept our appreciation for the gifts of the book, the POW MIA flag and pin. I'm very proud to receive that and appreciate the gracious way that you've presented us with that. It means something very much. I'm a combat vet as well. So my thanks, and I'm sure that of the entire Board of Commissioners. It's very fitting that Jackson County honors the sacrifice of our veterans in a respectful dedication in addition to this POW MIA flag. And while we might wish it was done sooner, it is done, and it is done right. So our appreciation to all present for taking time out of your day to be here for this dedication of the POW MIA flag. The ceremony is concluded, and thank you.